I've been in Modelland for 3 whole months.
What? What? Hey guys, it's Legend Wings or Mackenzie back here with my friend Kaylee, and once again we're bringing you another installment of Modelland. So last time in our story, I don't remember a lot of what happened other than there was a lot of food and indulging in food, and it's kind of gross.
Lizzy stole Tuki's sash thing, whatever it's called. Somehow there's this weird magic where it looks like they're walking, but they're like sprinting down the runway, and this magic in the world has no rules.
Because that made sense. So
fun times.
It's great, guys. So yeah, I guess we'll just jump right into chapter 22. Fused flashback females. Don't know what that means, but I guess we're about to find out.
I'm worried about the fused part. Are there like two people stuck together?
Yeah, that's the new thing. Lizzy and Tuki are gonna get fused into one being.
Oh dear.
Bravo's gaze remained fixed on Tuki. Tuki stood back. Oh yeah, that's right. The boy looked at her through the window. Yeah. That's what's going on.
Love interest B has shown up.
Yeah, because
love interest Bravo.
Again, as happens in many love triangle or just even dystopia and romance novels in general, you're gonna have a main character who has nothing interesting about her, and yet every dude's gonna love her.
I mean, Tuki looks interesting.
Yeah, but like, she's such a... I don't feel like she's a very diverse character.
She can't talk to people, so I'm wondering how this will play out.
It'll be fun. Bravo's gaze remained fixed on Tuki. Tuki stood back, utterly confused as to why he was looking at her and only her. The girls around her, including Dylan and Kamellini, seemed just as perplexed. Lizzy let out a horse-like snort. Come on, everyone. Don't you get it? He's staring at her because he's never seen someone with such an enormous head.
Wait. Okay, so if I remember right, they're all like these like dozens of girls like pressed up against like this window in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And Tuki is not only not in the front, she's like standing in the back behind all the rest of the people on a chair.
Yeah.
So no matter how the hell this guy is looking, he is going to, it's not going to be like, yes, he's looking at her. Not necessarily. That would be really hard to tell.
Yeah, I don't know how they all can tell.
Unless she's like waving back and forth in front of the window and he's just like following her.
And how long and intense is this gaze that everybody picks up on it like that fast?
I don't know.
This is creepy. Bravo reached up and made a wiping gesture across his nose. Oh no. On instinct, Tuki touched her nose too. To her horror, a trail of creamy pea green slime appeared on her fingers. She'd been staring out the window with a giant whipped cream booger on her face. She didn't know whether to run to find a tissue or a bush to hide behind. I don't know who's talking. Okay, I had to read ahead to tell who was talking. That's always a good sign. Can someone explain why you were pressing your nasty hands against our windows? The girls turned to see Persimmon standing in the doorway. Get in a single file line, she demanded. Now! The Bellas ran to obey. Where are we going? Chase called out as Persimmon spun around and marched into a dark, narrow hallway. In the distance was a bright, flickering light. I was just about to flash my breastosteros. Thanks, Chase. You need to get that filthy mouth of yours cleaned up. No, it wasn't a filthy mouth. I mean, in essence, what she was about to do was dirty. What she said wasn't explicit in it of itself.
No one, who the hell calls breastosteros?
She didn't call him by any other vulgar name. It was breastosteros. To be like...
It's like breast and testosterone mixed together.
Yeah.
And
that's sexy.
I'm confused by this combination.
Well, it's because the dudes are called the something testosterones or whatever. They're like from bestosterone or something like that.
Oh, that's
so
right.
I think
it's
she was
best
trying
stuff.
to joke around with that.
It just kind of falls a little flat.
It certainly made me stop, though.
Just be like, why?
The fluttering light at the end of the hallway expanded into an immense glowing circle. A mannequin stood at a reception desk shaped like the letters H, O, and A. The letters moved around in a disorganized jumble, probably making it hard to set anything on the surface. There was a great round room behind the desk, its walls covered in a furry-looking fabric, and its ceiling gently pulsing up and down, as if breathing. I know where we are, Zizi boasted. The ooh-ah!
What?
A breathy voice from above whispered, ooh-ah, with great satisfaction. The letters of the desk moved to spell ooh-ah. The smell of blood oranges wafted through the air, because everything in here, Tyra must really love that smell. Because everything in Modelland smells like blood oranges.
So the desk has rearranging letters, right?
Uh-huh.
So then it's saying like, ooh-ah. Could it also be like, hoa or aho?
I'm guessing so, but literally, the room's called O-O, capital A-H. Ooh-ah! And then it whispered, ooh-ah.
Oh, no.
This is the place where seasoned bellas go to have their aching joints soothed after their intense 7-7 tournament training, Zizi told them self-importantly. Oh, I should have read that in a different tone then. I don't know why she's explaining everything.
Because Zizi knows all, because her mother's therapist, dentist, sisters, brothers, cousins, daughters, dog told her so.
Yeah. This is the place where seasoned bellas go to have their aching joints soothed after their intense 7-7 tournament training, Zizi told them, self-importantly while staring at herself in the mirror behind the reception desk. It's also where the instructors in visiting Intoxibellas go to be primed and primped. We have one of these attached to my bedroom at home, you know. But it'll be so much more fun to experience this with all of you. Tuki and Dylan both rolled their eyes. Yeah, right, Tuki mouthed. 6 blank-eyed mannequins appeared from invisible doors, towels in their hands. Persimmon turned to the Bellas. You will break up into groups of 3 girls. Each group will be led by its own mannequin. And the rules are, well, enjoy yourselves. That's it. I'm sure that's all it is. BS. She seemed very pained to issue such a command. A mannequin waved an ornate hand mirror over the group. Instantly, light in one of 6 colors fell onto the girls. 3 Bellas glowed burgundy, making them a group. Zizi, Chase, and Bibiana were color-coded fire engine red. Tuki, Dylan, and Kamellini, the girls in line, glowed canary yellow. The mannequins' plastic bodies shimmered with the colors that matched their group. A yellow glowing mannequin approached Tuki, Dylan, and Kamellini. Please, follow please, she said in a barely perceptible monotone. The yellow mannequin walked them briskly down one of the many paths that split off from the round room. The other groups of girls went down different hallways. Tuki let her hand drag along the soft white wall. Cashmere, she whispered. Creamy had a suit made in the stuff a few years ago. Of course, only a month or so later, she discarded it, deeming it past its prime. Thinking of Creamy, Tuki got a pang. She got a pang. She didn't feel a pang. She got a pang. What is she doing right now? Does she miss me at all?
No.
No, she's
probably
mad,
not.
I'm sure.
They're probably like, yeah. Well, I guess it could go either one way. Either they're back at home being like, oh yes, my daughter was chosen. We knew she would get chosen for her unique looks because we love her. And then this will only increase Miracle's chances of getting chosen next year.
Yeah.
Or conversely, as soon as they, or no, maybe that's what they say to everyone else. But then maybe as soon as they get home, they're like, why wasn't Miracle chosen? Blah, blah, blah. We hate Tuki.
100%. I believe all the above. What kind of place has cashmere on its walls? Dylan whispered. Kamellini nodded. I know. It's ridiculous. Shameful, even. Just to be spiteful, I think.
Shameful?
I guess.
I mean, I guess Modelland has a ton of money and, like,
that's like the least
use
weird
for it.
thing
Yeah.
I've read so far in Modelland is that they have cashmere walls. Like, remember the room we just walked out of where it was breathing and was furry? Like, that was a little weirder and more shameful in my mind than having cashmere for walls. The mannequin led Tuki, Dylan, and Kamellini into an expansive rectangular room with a metal floor and walls. Rows and rows of polished stone slabs filled the room, dozens of bellas lying atop of them. Tuki recognized some of the girls from mastication, but there were... I still hate that word.
I know.
I hate that word so much. But there were others there she had never seen. All the girls were completely nude except for Tuki, Kamellini, and Dylan. I can't wait for Tyra to describe in detail all these naked women. It's coming, and I... The UA will move your soiled clothing, shoes, and underwear, the yellow mannequin informed them. Dylan stopped short, looking warily at the other girls in the room. Is there a private area I can use to change? I don't want all these chicks looking at my booty. I, too, feel quite uncomfortable with the idea of getting disrobed while so many look on, Kamellini seconded. Tuki didn't want to get naked around all these people either. Just side note, she didn't say anything. But that's the only sentence in that paragraph, just letting you know. Lie down on the last 3 slabs there, the mannequin instructed flatly, pointing. The girls hesitantly obeyed. Dozens of hands came up from under the slabs and removed their clothes. The hands were just like those that had dressed Tuki in the THBC bubble and C-L at the runaway. Tuki covered her private parts with her own hands. Kamellini did the same. Tuki felt cold, vulnerable, and certain everyone was staring at her, so she fixed her gaze on the ceiling instead. Someone had written something on the tiles in black pen.
Please tell me it's gullible.
I wish. It's hard to read because it's in a font. Gina has 2 secrets. 1. She hates C-L. 2. It rhymes with destroy. Okay.
What?
Gina has 2 secrets. 1. She hates C-L. 2. It rhymes with destroy.
It rhymes with destroy.
Destroy. I'm guessing as far as she got.
Right.
It destroy rhymes with destroy.
No.
I'm 100%. I'm gonna guess that that's the rhyme that she's gonna make because it's like a sarcastic comment almost. It rhymes with destroy. Next, a strong cushion of air pushed the girls above the stone slabs so that they hovered over their tables. Warm water spewed down from openings above them. Water rushed up at them, that's italicized, as well, seemingly gushing from the surface of the stone. The water changed from soapy to dingy to soapy to clear, finally becoming a citrusy orangish spray. Tuki closed her eyes, trying to relax and not fret about her exposed, awkward body. I don't get why this has to all be like a public thing either. It's just like...
I feel like this would not be relaxing, but you know, that's just me.
It's just... Why can't we just... Like, it'd be one thing if she'd written in, like, a public bath scene, and that would make more sense, because you could still have it, like, it's kind of dystopian, but not really.
Not
like,
all
it has this different element as far as, like, an American's point of view would go. But this is just, like... I don't know. It's another excuse for her to be random, and I don't appreciate it. I'm not that into it, I should say. Oh, Dylan said beside her. Ah, Kamellini said, and they all giggled. The yellow mannequin gave the girls what looked like green, strapless, terry cloth mini dresses with asymmetrical hems. I don't know what that looks like, but cool. The little towel frocks read ooh on the front and ah on the back. Put these on, please. You will care for your Bella uniforms and return them to you cleaned and pressed. Oh, we will care for your Bella uniforms and return them to you cleaned and pressed. The girls put on the towel dresses, and then the mannequin led them on a tour of the ooh-ah. The place was a labyrinth of narrow hallways decorated with silks, I hate when she throws in random words. Just chenilles, 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 chenilles.
I'm not sure.
Fine chenilles. And more cashmere walls. Lanterns glowed from every alcove, incandescent butterflies providing the light. The scent of blood oranges hung heavily in the air, and the girls felt soft sand underfoot. Down some hallways, they saw elaborate makeup stations and steaming baths. So they do have baths here. Why do we have to get sprayed while hovering midair? We'll never know.
If you're gonna have like these weird like things that make you hover anyway, why even have like these weird stone slabs?
I don't get it. In one, an upper-class Bella, all one word, sat in a pedicure chair and commanded, "Environment, tropical island with pink sand and turquoise waves." Suddenly, the fabric on the walls melted away, revealing an idyllic island setting, complete with a shining sun, warm breezes, rose-colored sand, and an ocean so blue it looked a swimming pool. Tuki, Dylan, and Kamellini gasped. "This is a special feature of the UA," the mannequin told them. "One can change her surroundings to whatever she likes. Try it." "Please, madame." "Environment? Home," Kamellini asked politely. The walls started to reflect an immense room. "Oops, never mind, madame," Kamellini said hurriedly. The room immediately turned back to its spa atmosphere. Tuki bravely stepped forward next. Environment? Inside a whipped cream factory, with beach waves crashing outside the window.
Oh, that's right. That was what she and Lizzy were gonna make, weren't they? They were gonna open up their whipped cream factory.
In an instant, the room transformed into an enormous space with walls and floors made of cream. So it's clearly not. This girl is nuts.
Yep.
Machines surrounding the area churned out endless types and flavors, light and heavy, caramel and coffee. There was a 5 stories tall picture window with a perfect view of the sea's surf-worthy waves. Tuki smiled shakily. She wished Lizzy could see this. "Exodus," she whispered. "Exodus." "All right now," the yellow mannequin said, grabbing Tuki's arm and moving down another hall. "We must keep going." They walked down a long corridor full of treatment rooms. Bella's murmured with pleasure, but when Tuki looked in one room, a Bella was lying on her stomach with an enormous boulder crushing her spine. "The latest in hot stone treatments, years before civilians will hear about it," the mannequin explained. In another room, a mannequin was peeling a layer of skin off of Bella's face. The skin came off in a perfect mask, pigment, pores, and all, and when the mannequin pressed it up against a plastic model head, the mask opened its eyes and smiled. "Facial sloth," the yellow mannequin guiding the girl's head. In yet another room, Bella stepped inside a giant clamshell. The clam's valve snapped shut rapidly, trapping the Bella inside. "Let me guess," Dylan said. "Body ramp?" "Body snap," the mannequin said, but close enough. They walked into the next room, a giant space that had a large circle painted in the middle of the floor. 3 women dressed in ornately patterned flowing muumuus sat very closely together in the corner. Their hair was fused into one huge beehive. Dylan whispered, "I wonder if their heads are actually connected." Their eyes were closed, and their beehive hairdo, pause for dramatic effect, turned in slow, meditative circles. They seemed unaware of anything around them. "Flashback females," the mannequin whispered reverently. "They have the ability to take a person to a time in her life that has already happened. You cannot change the past, only witness it. Most Bellas find it very therapeutic. You can take your friends with you into your flashback, and they will see and hear everything that happened also. But if one of you wants to do it, your whole group must follow. The doors seal once someone has stepped into the circle, trapping everyone inside. No exceptions." So I'm going to take it that this is a therapeutic thing, if anything, to try to fold into the spa that's going on here. Because otherwise it just seems kind of randomly placed.
Yeah.
Hey guys, let's go witness our past at the spa.
I mean, like, you could maybe have it be like a therapeutic thing, like,
It has
oh look,
to
I
be-
went like hiking in like the peaceful mountains. I wish everyone
Yeah.
was there to have seen it. And here, look, I can show it to all of you now, or help them work through like a problem, or
What would be
I don't know.
interesting is if you can only go back to things that you remember or anything that's in your past
Oh,
to see if Tuki's dad is Tuki's dad,
interesting.
or to see like what's all really going on behind the scenes with that family.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing that's
So, like, is it more like the pensive from Harry Potter?
yeah,
You can just like go into like a scene.
yeah. So like instead of having the teardrop, you just need the person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that's where this is going. If I had to take a wild shot in the dark here, we'll be returning.
Wonder if this is, yeah, I'm assuming we'll be returning to this place in Modelland. I'm wondering if this is going to be like a way that Tyra is going to try and show not tell, but still tell.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious how it's going to be used, because I feel like Tuki doesn't have any reason to drag anyone back to her past. I don't know. We'll see.
Let's find out. Dylan looked excitedly at the others. Should we do it? Tuki shifted from one foot to the other. She couldn't think of a single thing she wanted to relive. I'm not letting you chicken out, girl, Dylan exclaimed, looking at Tuki. If you don't go, Kamellini and I can't do it. You want to do it too, right, Kamellini? Kamellini pulled in her bottom lip. Come on, Kamellini. You in? Dylan pressed.
That obviously means no.
Yeah.
Or at least that they're not so sure about it.
Well, okay, Kamellini said hesitantly. But, if you can see the flashback I want to see, I have to prepare you. I am ashamed of my house. Please understand. Dylan chuckled. You're so stupid. Like, why is she laughing? It's obviously a sensitive topic, and you're trying to be reassuring. Don't laugh in any form.
I mean, maybe it's like, oh, I'm sure it's fine. Don't worry about it. But still, maybe not the best reaction.
Dylan chuckled. Who are we to judge if a family's hitting a rough patch? I live in a store. Now, what about you, Tuki? Okay, she said, instantly regretting it. Kids. They're using our makeshift camera setup as their new playground.
Thanks, cats.
Thanks, cats. Which one of you would like to go first? The mannequin asked. I guess I will, Kamellini volunteered, so I can get it over with quickly. She walked farther into the room. One of the flashback females stood, approached Kamellini, and led her to the circle. As soon as Kamellini crossed its yellow boundaries, the iron and concrete doors in the room banged shut, making Tuki flinch.
Doesn't seem like a very soothing place or anything.
No.
Concrete room with what? Iron doors?
Yeah, this whole place
It's
is
more like a prison all of a sudden.
This is very like half the rooms here are like cashmere and half look like a prison with stone slabs and stuff.
They didn't have enough money to finish cashmering all
the walls. I guess not. They ran out of funds. Kamellini stood very still. She nodded as if answering questions, though the flashback female hadn't said a word. It is so, the female said. It felt like Tuki's feet were melting into the ground. The sinking feeling crept up to her knees, her hips, her waist, her torso, her shoulders, then her neck. For a moment, all of her senses were muffled, but then they snapped into a precise clarity. She blinked slowly and opened her eyes. Tuki, Dylan, and Kamellini now stood at a window overlooking an immense patchwork of dilapidated...
Dilapidated?
Yeah, but spelled dilapidated.
Is that usually how it spells? And I've just been like...
Maybe I'm just dumb. It's just entirely possible. But you pronounce it dilapidated. But it's totally spelled here as dilapidated.
Yeah, that is how it's spelled. It's just not how we pronounce it. Or at least not around here.
Let's try this
I've never noticed that, but yeah, because it would look weird if it was spelled with a T.
Yeah, but it just, I stumbled over it because I'm like, it's not dated? Dated.
Is this another stupid, like, Michigan thing that we say wrong?
Probably. Dilapidated.
Dilapidated old building?
Dilapidated shacks. Tuki, Dylan, and Kamellini now stood at a window overlooking an immense patchwork of dilapidated shacks. Smoke rose from many of the shanties. Beautiful cocoa, maple, and copper-skinned children dressed in bright fabrics ran about. A younger Kamellini, sans headbanger, climbed out the very window at which the girls were standing and dropped to the ground. She ran toward the middle of the shanty town and stopped at a group of about 24 people of varying ages. Their clothes might have been tattered and drab, but as soon as they saw Kamellini, their smiles were brighter than the most luxurious silks. I guess silk.
I mean, silk can also be black, which is not bright.
Right.
I get the vibe.
Yeah. Kamellini, where are we? Tuki whispered. We are standing in my bedroom, but before you look, brace yourselves. Everyone turned and gasped. A gigantic four-poster bed stood in the corner, surrounded by jeweled chandeliers and ornate crystal lamps. Plush velvet and bright leather furniture filled the rest of the space. The ceiling was adorned with intricately carved wood and white marble. Cashmere covered the walls.
Wait, so didn't Kamellini just say that she had to prepare them first for what they were about to see? And then she didn't.
I think her preparation was really like, you guys are about to see stuff that I don't like.
Okay.
Be prepared.
Be prepared.
You lived here? Dylan's eyes goggled. What in the heck is there to be ashamed of? Are you crazy? I enjoyed and appreciated living here, but I felt tormented too. Kamellini pointed to the window. Right outside are so many people with so much less. And that big group of people the young me is greeting right now, they are the Pandey family. Dylan stared at all the young people Kamellini was with. Whoa, I thought me having 4 sisters and bros was a big fam. But people in Chakra got bigger ones than mine. They're extended family as well, Kamellini explained. Aunts, cousins, great-grandparents. But their living conditions were so unfortunate. I used to sneak them unused items. Clothes, school books, healthy food, and vitamins. I secretly convinced one of the grips on my mother's... Grips being a person, I'm guessing? I secretly convinced one of the grips on my mother's films to run plumbing and electricity lines from our house to their tiny home too. My family has so much. It felt like a sin to not share. The young Kamellini in the flashback approached the Pandey family and grabbed the hands of a sweet-faced child. That is Maya, my favorite, Kamellini said to Tuki. She is 8 years old.
She's picking favorite children.
That's not good, Kamellini.
I mean, they're not her own kids,
yeah,
so.
Still. Guess what? Young Kamellini cried to the family. I actually secured parts for all of you in my mother's next film. And I do not mean a few rupees worth of background work. I mean bona fide speaking parts. Real paychecks. The family looked grateful at one another. I just can't read tonight. I just want to go to bed.
Too much wine already?
I haven't even really had any yet.
And you're already drunk.
I'm going to be drinking it when you're reading.
Fair.
The family looked gratefully at one another. Some began to sob, but it was a happy sobbing, their eyes alight with joy. But the scene does not shoot here in Chakra, Kamellini went on. It is the scene that leads up to the grand dance number, and it shoots in Cappuccina and Trejolet. Their surroundings abruptly shifted to the famous main canal in Cappuccina. Movie cameras focused on the Pandey family, who recited their lines with the greatest of ease and grace. Then the scene whooshed again, this time to a film location in Trejolet, in the shadow of the metropolis's famous sculptured tower. Young Kamellini burst onto set. Bonjour, ma, she called out. I will be your assistant director today. Where should the Pandey family stand in the scene? Kamellini's mother, a tall, striking Chakra woman with huge, soulful eyes, a curvy body, and vermilion in her hair, turned and smiled. Betty, did I tell you how proud of you I am? Her mother said to young Kamellini, rubbing her daughter's head. We are shooting the big thunderstorm scene today. Make sure they have the appropriate props. Kamellini guided the Pandey family to the base of a backdrop depicting a brilliant blue sky. As everyone took their places, Kamellini's mother yelled, Action! The rain machine sprayed the set with water. The cameras began to roll. The thunder sound effect boomed. The Pandeys performed well even with faux rain drenching them. Young Kamellini grinned with pride. Betty, get ready to cue the dancers, Kamellini's mother shouted to her. Just as Maya, the youngest Pandey, was about to say the last line of the scene, another ear-splitting sound thundered above. The heavy sky blue backdrop tipped and plummeted to the ground. Well, they're dead.
Oh no, he died!
Everyone screamed and scattered, but for some it was too late. Thick white dust poured all around like smoke. Tuki waved her hand in front of her face, trying to see. Suddenly, a keening cry rang out. Maya crawled out from under the rubble, blood streaming down her forehead. Ma! Papa! Nani! Tuki's heart stopped. She had a sinking feeling about what had just happened. Next to her, present-day Kamellini let out a tortured whimper. No, she cried. No! She ran to the rubble and tried to move the bricks away to rescue the other family members, but her fingers just switched through the scene, useless. Suddenly, the flashback female's calm voice rang out through the room. It's time to go now. The film set receded, and the girls were in the ooh-ah again. Kamellini crumpled to the floor in tears. They all perished that day because of me. This, she pointed to her headbanger, helps me block it out, but I will never forgive myself. Maya became an orphan. She moved in with us, but a week later, she ran away. We searched all over Chakra but could not find her. I do not know if she is dead or alive. I should have never tried to help them. It wasn't your fault, Tuki said gently. You tried to give them a better life. Before Kamellini could respond, the flashback females approached a shell-shocked Dylan and took her to the center of the circle. Dylan also nodded as if answering questions that weren't spoken. In a flash, they were all in an immense park within the Bo-Big-Teak Nation. Instead of endless posters and signs advertising sales, there were inspirational messages like, Smiles are the best currency, and Keep Bo-Big-Teak beautiful, save our park. A man and a sweet-looking girl about 6 years old stood next to a jungle gym. The little girl had Dylan's sweet, feisty face. My God, there's my daddy, Dylan murmured, staring at him. She stepped up to her dad and tried to touch his hair. Her hand swirled through his head, like it was paint being smeared in the air. But that didn't deter her. She leaned in close, her head partly galloping into his. Dylan's dad picked up 6-year-old Dylan and placed her on a slide. He pushed her on the swing set and helped her up onto the monkey bars. But it all seemed too much for him. Winded, he kneeled down to his daughter. Dylan, my baby, Daddy's little girl, Daddy's gonna have to go somewhere far away very, very soon.
Aww.
On a trip? Young Dylan asked. Can I come? Afraid not. There were tears in her father's eyes. And before I go, I just want to make sure I say something to you that I want you to always remember. He cleared his throat. Dylan, baby, Daddy wants you to know that you are beautiful. These other little skinny things in the nation, don't ever let them get you down. Don't change nothing about you, boo. Not one thing, 'cause everything about you's perfect. Suddenly, Dylan's father started to cough. He seemed unable to catch his breath. His face became bright red, and then he dropped to the ground. Daddy? Dylan cried, hovering over him. Daddy, what's wrong? Her father looked at her with glassy eyes. His mouth opened and closed, but he couldn't speak. In seconds, a Bo-Big-Teak ambulance roared up, and EMTs jumped out and loaded Dylan's dad onto a stretcher. Daddy! Young Dylan cried again and again. A few moments later, the girls returned to the ooh-ah. Dylan lay on the floor, sobbing. The yellow mannequin turned to Tuki unexpectedly. Are you ready?
Why do they have have to relive the most like traumatic
That's what I'm
things.
trying to figure out. Is
Maybe we'll figure out what the purpose of this is when Tuki shares whatever her experience is.
Yeah,
Also, those are like, oh, these poor characters.
While it's a creative way to get to share character backstories and try to like actually put a scene together instead of having characters tell, I'm not feeling how it's being delivered because it seems, let's go to the spa. Okay, now let's go relive our darkest parts of our past through this past vision room that's at the spa. But while you're at the spa, you probably want to experience calming things and enjoy your time off. No, all these girls were like, I want to witness when all these people died. That would have been my first choice.
I wonder if it's whatever the three ladies are saying to them. Like, you must like share your most traumatic experience to grow from it or something. I don't know. I hope we'll figure out. I hope there'll be more rhyme and reason when we hear what they say to Tuki and what she picks. Yeah. And then I hope that these stories play a role and help explain how the characters act, or at least have some sort of reason of why they went into such great detail.
Other than, it's character development, because now they have backstory. You know? Because, like, Kamellini's at least means, like, I have to wear these headphones to keep the trauma away.
I mean, like, there's been other... I think it's maybe just that... I don't know if you're struggling with it because it's just so much all at once with all the characters.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's been so many books that I've read that are like this that do go back and share, like, short, like, clips and visions of, like, backstory. But usually, like, they all play, like, a big role then later on and have a direct correlation with the next thing that happens in the story. So I wonder how it'll tie in.
So to wait and see. Now my cat's joining me.
Aw, Gremlin.
Are you gonna lay down? Okay. Yeah, you hurt when you stand on me.
Come on.
Or you can lay down. You just gotta compress the cat here. Tuki shook her head and started towards Dylan. Without seeing her move her mouth or emit a sound, Tuki heard one of the flashback females say, "Let her be, Tuki. The pain is part of the healing." So I guess that's where we're going with this. Tuki licked her lips, suddenly feeling terrified. She wasn't ready to face the past if it was going to hurt her as much as it had her friends. I want to skip my turn. Fair. Mood. The Manicat frowned. But it's a rewarding bonding experience, and it will help you grow, Isabella. And if you refuse, I'll have to mark your time in UA as incomplete. UA is a class as well, you see.
What?
Bullshit.
Yeah!
I called it earlier. I'm like, this is gonna be BS. Like, all you have to do is relax. Blah, blah, blah. You're not being tested.
I mean, like, okay, so this class, yes, will help you definitely, like, learn more about your fellow classmates and hopefully help you understand them better and why they act or some of the things they say. You'll learn more about them. However, that's, like, in most, like, college classes, it's, like, bad enough on, like, the first day when they're like, oh, share 3 things about yourself. Like, what's your name and major? How old are you or what year are you? And then something about yourself.
Yeah.
It's never, like, here, to get to know your classmates that you'll be spending, like, the whole, like, next, 4 months with? It's never a, here, go share your most traumatic, story from your past.
Yeah, no.
I don't think that's necessarily a good thing to force these people to share, unless this is like the specific story Kamellini and Dylan chose to tell. I don't know.
I guess we'll have to see, but like, I don't know, I would start something that's a little on the lighter side.
That's kind of really rude for the class too, to be like, yes, share this with total strangers, essentially. Because, like, what if, like, Tuki ended up with, like, she ended up with her friends. What if she's with, like, 2 strangers? Yeah, you learn a whole lot about, like, your classmates, which is good.
Well, Zizi's gonna have a good time with Chase and that other girl if that's what's going on and her whole dumpster diving thing gets revealed.
Yeah.
But it probably won't happen. She'll skate by it.
She'll just back out and say, like, no, I don't want to revisit my past.
Yep. Tuki let out a huge sigh. Failing something as simple as supposedly relaxing as UA wasn't an option. Setting aside all her anxieties, She stepped into the circle. The flashback females walked around her, mouths shut, but Tuki could hear them speaking, loud and clear. Breathe deeply, they said. Stand very still in the circle to come face to face with your demons. It is from here that we can lead you back to a time that has already happened. Tuki glanced over her shoulder at Kamellini and Dylan. Their eyes seemed to silently speak to her too. It's okay, Tuki. It's okay. She turned back to the females. She didn't even have to speak a request. Just think it. Please just show me something good for my life. Anything. Even if it's something I can't remember. It is so. One, the females answered. Not one of. One, the females answered, shutting her eyes.
Like
Typo!
one comma?
Typo! I caught my first typo. If so. One of the females answered, shutting her eyes.
Yep. So either it had to be that, or they also could have done as, it is so. One, the females answered, shutting her.
No, they can't
Nope.
do that.
Nope, because shutting her eyes, yep. Has to be one of. There's like no skating around this. It's not even like missing comma, it's missing words.
It's just bad. There was a whoosh of light. Tuki felt
they
it
have
like
the whooshes.
Yes, everybody's got the whooshes. Tuki felt like her brain was being turned upside down and inside out. But it wasn't painful at all. Instead, it felt like her head was being relieved of pressure, like a tea kettle whistling out steam. When she opened her eyes, she was in her house in Peppertown, only it looked newer, not as ramshackle. And her bedroom was spotless. Sheer curtains embroidered with yellow ducks flanked the sparkling windows. A stuffed giraffe stood proudly in the corner. A small bed was in the middle of the room, covered with a thick yellow comforter with white tassels along the edge. Plush barriers ran down the sides of the bed, a protective measure to prevent a sleeper from rolling onto the floor. Mrs. De La Crème entered the bedroom. A man who certainly must have been Mr. De La Crème was holding her hand. I bet you it's not, though Tuki couldn't see his face.
Uh-oh.
Tuki's jaw dropped. She couldn't recall ever seeing her parents display physical affection. This was before her father's accident, so his body was cut and toned. Creamy was still as wrinkled as she was today, but she looked softer, happier. She carried an adorable toddler dressed in bright yellow onesie pajamas. The miracle? But then she heard her mother murmuring, "There, Tuki, there." Tuki was transfixed. She'd never seen baby photos of herself. But where's Bellissima? She wondered. Then she realized the doll didn't exist yet. Tuki stared at her 2-year-old self. She was actually strangely cute. Not yet the hideously disproportionate, frustratingly awkward teenager she'd grown to be. Mr. De La Crème, so we can confirm it is the man, not like the questionable man, gently touched his baby daughter's head. Her hair a mix of textures that seemed deliberate, not random and haphazard. 6 teeth already, Dumpling? You're jumping the gun. At 2?
Wait.
She's 2 and has 6. I feel like you can be 1 and have 6 teeth, and you can be 1 and a half and have 6 teeth. I feel like at 2 you got most of those in.
I would think. I don't know. I don't have babies.
I watch enough family vloggers. I know
I'm
all
trying
my
to
shit.
I'm trying to think of all my cousins' kids, and like, there's always like you see like pictures of like babies that have like their little like baby teeth.
I mean, I guess I know Tyra's got a kid now, but I don't think she had a kid at this point, so I'm gonna say I'll let her pass. But you're gonna need one of these soon. He handed her a toddler-sized toothbrush. You should be using that already. Young Tuki grabbed the toothbrush and bit on it. Mr. De La Crème turned to his wife and smiled. Look at her. She's strong, just like her daddy. And she looks just like me, doesn't she? You wish, Mrs. De La Crème playfully smacked him on his muscular arm. My Tuki is the spitting image of her mommy. Tuki couldn't believe it. My Tuki? Mommy? When did Creamy allow herself to be called Mommy? And when did she stop? Mrs. De La Crème laid little Tuki down on her bed. Time to give that up now, Dumpling. Mr. De La Crème said, taking away the toothbrush. There will be plenty of days ahead when I'll have to force you to brush your teeth. Right now, just enjoy being the beautiful baby girl that you are. Her toothbrush, in her father's hand again, but he was holding it with love, not a weapon. Then both parents gave baby Tuki a gentle kiss on her forehead. Tears fell from Tuki's eyes onto her green terry cloth ooh-ah dress. Dylan and Kamellini looked at her curiously. I never knew they loved me, she said, her heart banging fast. They were going to send me away. They didn't want me anymore. What changed between then and now? Was it a miracle? His eye accident? Or something else? The memory rolled on. Sleepy, huh, Dumpling? I know. I see you fighting it, Mr. De La Crème said as he kissed little Tuki's toes. Just close those eyes and dream those dreams that will all come true one day. Go on now. Go to sleep, Dumpling. Just dream. Just go. For all of us. Let's repeat this line 100 times, but that just sounds like he's wishing death upon her. Just go. For all of us. Please.
Maybe it's more like, just go to sleep.
Please.
For all
go
of us.
the fridge to sleep. Present day Tuki squeezed her eyes shut. It's time to leave now, the flashback female said. With that, the flashback disappeared, and young Tuki and her tender and loving parents were gone. And so now we skipped 4 lines and we're on a new page, and Tuki's writing in her diary.
Okay, this is really not fair to Dylan and Kamellini, who had very traumatic experiences. Granted, that's also awful for poor Tuki, like, that having the feeling that her parents don't love her, but her facing her demons in this sense is like the opposite. She went back and realized that, look, they did love me at one point. It hasn't always just been like a loveless family.
Interesting.
So, like, I mean, I guess that is still facing your demons. So maybe Tuki's demons maybe her inner demons were wondering, like, did they ever love me? And, like, she got an answer.
I was wholeheartedly expecting this to be a copy and paste from one of the first couple of chapters. Like,
I was hoping that wasn't what was going to be.
Or
I was wondering if it would be like, and the scene replayed with her father holding the toothbrush saying, just go for all of us.
Yeah.
Something like that. But, so I guess this is like a different way for someone to like face your demons kind of
I guess so. So, I mean, I'll give her a thumbs up for that, because at least she didn't do a cop-out and replay a thing that's already happened before, but...
Meanwhile, poor like Kamellini and Dylan are
like,
oh,
we've been traumatized.
Well, we've been traumatized and we totally didn't have to traumatize ourselves. We could have found a different way to like answer the psychic ladies.
Yeah. Tuki uncapped a pink pen and began to write in Gaudian. Dear Lizzy, I wonder if you know where I am right now. If you saw them choose me to come to this special place. I wonder if you think I'm a deserter. A two-faced liar, a selfish egomaniac who ditched our friendship at the very first opportunity. I hope not. If you do know where I am, I hope you're looking up at the mountain, wondering what I'm doing right now, not hating me with all your heart. Because I want to tell you everything, Lizzy. I miss our talks. I miss how we laugh. I miss knowing where you are and where you aren't. I've got new friends here, and that's friend with SSSS all capitalized behind it. I forgot that's the thing she's doing now.
Oh, yeah.
But wait a sec, Lizzy. Don't be jealous. You'd love them. They're like us. A little odd, a bit quirky, and definitely real. Their imperfections are what make them shine with the most scintillating, effervescent inner glow you have ever seen. Things have changed in other ways, too. I have transformed from the bangle, bauble, and bead forget-a-girl into Modelland stare-at-her girl. Everyone either thinks I'm a freak or that I'm here as an experiment. Remember those sacrifice rumors, Lizzy? I'm still not sure if they're true. Girl, they're true and they're happening to her. Maybe they are after me. Now, I'm starting to sound like you. Smiley face. Burn! Ouch. The latest person to join in on the Glare Fest is Bravo, a male model attending our brother school, Bestosterone. Everyone else acts as if he's the incarnation of some long-forgotten god, but all I can do when I see him is turn away. He embarrassed me, Lizzy. reaching toward his nose to indicate that I should wipe away some vile olive-tinted whipped cream snot in front of everyone. And instead of turning away in disgust, they all stared at me. I was a remember girl, but in all the wrong ways. But before Bravo so rudely pointed out the liquid blemish dripping from my nostril, I'd gotten the compliment of my life. A teacher, they're called gurus here, told me I ain't half bad, which to me sounded like a symphony. A warm blanket on a shiver a day. The same kind of affirmation you used to give me. Something I miss like crazy. Lizzy, there are many things I lack here at Modelland. One is the exceptional beauty that the majority of my peers in this paradise have. And another is the gift of lumiere, a special glowing nightlight that enhances its recipient's natural beauty. I also lack a family back at home that misses me and counts down the days until they can see me again. But tonight, you know what? I don't care. Because tonight, I ain't half bad. And I'm praying wherever you are ain't half bad too. I miss you, hot queen. Good night, Lizzy. Tuki, FG, ? P.S. I hope you're staying far away from shark rocks.
Thanks.
I like how we got a recap at what happened at that chapter at the end of that chapter. It's almost like I could have read that letter and knew everything of importance that happened in the last couple of chapters.
I also don't think that Bravo's thing was all that rude. He could have been like, oh, you have like a snot from your nose.
He's just like trying to warn her. Like,
and again, you wouldn't even be able to tell really that he's looking only at her.
Right.
Based on how the scene was described earlier on.
Now that you've had your alcohol, I need mine.
Okay.
I'm just gonna sit here and sip it as you read.
Chapter 23. The Diabolical Divide. While Tuki lay fast asleep in her lumiere-less bed in the D, a plan was in action at the base of the Modelland mountain.
Okay.
Interesting. So we're not in Tuki's perspective anymore.
All right, let's do this.
So it's like almost like not quite an omniscient narrator, but interesting.
Is this Tyra speaking again? The outside Tyra voice or whatever?
It doesn't have the weird text. An enormous sign swayed crookedly in the breeze. Warning. Enter and you may perish painfully. Beyond it was a jungle of tangled barbed plants, boulders, and rotting steel. Every few moments, an eerie hoot, screech, or scream was emitted somewhere from in the darkness. Moans, grumbles, the sound of nails scraping down a piece of glass, pops of metal underfoot, an insane high-pitched laugh. Slowly, a ragtag crowd crunched past the sign and lined up against a large rock. Jessamine, a beautiful teenage girl from the most prestigious section of Lidorno, and her mother, Mina. Lynn, a woman in her late 40s holding a limp advertisement cut from a newspaper in her trembling hand. After them, none other than the hairy Abigail Good, her tea-dyed head injury having healed, and her even hairier mother, who was appropriately named Harriet.
Of course. Stop it.
The Good women carried duffels that sported hairy sewn-on patches promoting their pro-hair causes. Are these like the plague?
Oh, the plague.
No.
Yes.
I think so. The people were gonna have this not bubonic plague, but much worse plague.
Sure, Tyra.
Mm-hmm.
Jessamine covered her mouth in a failed attempt to stifle a laugh. Oh, wow, I love what they've done with their hair, she said in a voice loud enough for the Good women to hear. A twitching, hunchbacked man strode up, pulling a leather hood over his head to obscure his scaly skin, beady eyes, and uniformly pointed teeth. Is it a gizzard?
It might be a gizzard man! Please.
Okay.
Please.
His kind was unfamiliar to the group, but a certain porcelain-skinned girl named Piper would know them quite well.
Yes! It's a gizzard!
She'd lived with the daily terror of scores of them threatening to penetrate her homeland's grand protective dome, after all. All the women nervously stepped back. What's he doing here? Jessamine whispered to her mother. Everyone knows men don't usually go on these things unless they're die-hard and desperate testosterone wannabes like those dumb architects were. Shh, Mina whispered. Watches were checked. Canteens were uncapped to make sure an appropriate level of water remained for the first part of the trip. Hiking booted toes tapped. Sweaty brows dripped. Temples pounded in agony. Veins throbbed and bulged. Everyone knew what the others were thinking. Would this be a mistake, as it had been for everyone before them who had made the attempt?
Yeah,
Probably. Your failure rate is 100%. So
good luck with that.
For they were victims of the Pilgrim Plague, about to embark on the treacherous trek up the diabolical divide to Modelland, and they had chosen this clear black night to begin the most important journey of their lives. It would take several months. There would be no turning back. I'm really hoping that Miracle shows up on this.
Oh, man.
And just leads the pack up the mountain like, they should have chose me! I think it would have been a lot better than... A final figure emerged from the darkness. Their guide, a professional trespasser, or raider, named Macy Kamada. Macy Kamada is a guy. Okay.
Sorry.
He wore a large pack crammed with survival gear, the straps cutting into his shoulders. Even though he was overburdened as a pack mule, Kamada still looked strong and robust. He had weathered, sunburned skin, a thick crew cut, and hooded eyes that constantly darted back and forth. He opened one of the breast pockets on his jumpsuit and retrieved a plastic bag containing several dozen pills. He poured the entire bag into his mouth and swallowed all the pills with no water. He motioned for the group to line up in front of him. Time for antibiotics, venom blockers, and miasma inhibitors, he said, placing a plastic bag of pills in each pilgrim's hand. Swallow them if you want to survive the bites and other deadly forces that lurk on the divide. If you refuse, you're asking for certain death the moment we pass the first junction. The entire group gulped down the pills. Kamada stuck a needle into his rock-hard butt, injecting a thick, murky liquid. A booster, he explained. Again, the pilgrims lined up as they were told. Jessamine recoiled from the acidic burn of the needle, plunging deep into her backside. You're experienced on the mountain, correct? Lynn asked. Your ad said you were, and... I'm the best damn raider money can motivate, Kamada answered gruffly. But you understand the not-so-fine print, right? I make no guarantees for your safety, your comfort, your success, your lives. I point, you go. Everyone understand? All the pilgrims nodded. Okay then, time to reward the raider. Kamada extended his palm. Everyone handed over thick wads of cash. When it was Lynn's turn, she stared tearfully at the money in her hand. This is my entire life savings.
We'll be dead soon, so it don't matter.
Please promise me that you'll deliver us to Modelland safely. Lynn's the 40-year-old woman, right?
I think so. Yeah.
When Modelland's been taking, like, 13-year-old girls, like, between 13 and, like, I'm assuming 18?
Have fun, Lynn.
Sorry, Lynn. Behind her, Jessamine snorted. What is her ancient ass going for anyway? Shh, her mother said, pushing a hand over her daughter's mouth. All right, Kamada said, brushing his hands together. Are we ready? The group gave a resounding yes. Satisfied, Kamada pulled a flashlight out of his pocket and beamed it toward the diabolical divide. Wait! A voice screeched behind them. Two figures dressed in camouflage combat suits bounded up the ridge. Giant transparent packs full of flares, eating utensils, sleeping bags, axes, a fold-up tent, and lanterns swung from their backs.
Dang.
They both wore night vision goggles. Don't leave without us, the taller of the two cried. We're on your list. We signed up yesterday. She rifled around the pocket of her camel pants and pulled out a stack of crisp bills. The guide instantly smiled and snatched it from her. So let's see here. He pulled out his registration list. You must be Mrs. De La Crème, the tall figure interrupted, patting her wrinkly tan skin. But you can call me Creamy. And this is my daughter, Miracle.
Yep.
Honey, stop dancing, please. Miracle stopped her frantic movements and pulled in her bottom lip. Kamada nodded. And what's that? He motioned to something Mrs. De La Crème had pressed to her chest. Her name is Bellissima, Creamy said with annoyance.
Good God.
A doll going up the divide? Kamada blinked. Well, that's a first.
Any of you people going up the divide? Well, that's a first.
He hitched his backpack higher on his shoulders and opened one of its many compartments. Take these, he said, handing them the packs of pills. He then gave Creamy and Miracle shots into their derrieres. Creamy turned Bellissima over and exposed her hard plastic rear end. Give her a shot, too.
Oh my god.
Why is she insane? I'm assuming this is like her way of trying to to feel young again, feel motherly. But she's...
What's driving me bonkers is there's been 100% failure rate, and all these people are like, yeah, we're gonna make it up to Modelland. And then what? What are you gonna do when they all arrest you for sneaking into Modelland?
They're all going to applaud and be like, yay, you survived!
Yeah, you survived! Here you go, you get to be part of the program. Now, I don't think that's how that works. I think if you guys are gonna make it, they'll be like, oh yeah, you weren't supposed to do that. Bye now.
Sure. What if it's just a test to see it's only the most dedicated, stupid people can get up the mountain?
Divides, if it's not laid with traps for them set by Modelland, they've probably got mercenaries running up and down the place, ready to just take out anybody who climbs the mountain. It's not even the mountain that takes them out. It's gonna be the people of Modelland just take these people out.
Kamada studied Creamy. Whatever you say, lady. He had to push hard to get the needle to penetrate Bellissima's fanny. I hope you're ready for what lies ahead. Ready? I just let you shoot my Miracle and Bellissima with God knows what. We've never been more ready in our lives. Someone up there has made a grave mistake, and she's going to pay dearly for what she's done. There was such an intense look in her eyes that everyone took a small step away from her. Okay then, the guide said. He turned to the pilgrims. Off we go. So, is Mrs. De La Crème going up there as an avenging, mother just pissed that they didn't get her their way, that her daughter isn't the bestest person in the world?
Yep.
I don't think you're also going to win your way into the Modelland's graces by being you've made a mistake and you'll pay for it.
Uh-huh. It's gonna go swell, I can tell.
And then we're back to Tuki.
Yay!
Tuki selected a purple pen and began to write a letter in Tréjolais. Dear Creamy, you probably can't believe it, but I've been in Modelland for 3 whole months!
What? What are you gonna do a time jump like that?
There's nothing to indicate a time jump. It's not a new chapter. There's not any of the weird little symbols.
What is that?
What? I mean, I'm glad that we don't have to go there every single day.
Yeah,
but I was unprepared for this. At the very least, you could have done a new chapter. It's essentially a new chapter anyway.
Or basically,
instead, okay, why would you not just open that up?
The next one with the letter?
We literally have a page of Tuki's letter she writes. 2 pages, and then we have a new chapter. Why would you not just take the letter that she wrote and use that as your opening?
100%. Here's my bet. Tyra looked at it and went, this chapter's really small, and this chapter's a good size. Let me try to balance them out, and I'll just slab this one part at the end of that. Yeah, that looks good. And now it's 3 pages instead of 2 pages. Yeah.
Maybe these letters are going to be a thing because the letters starting the same way the one you just read did too.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't give us a time jump.
We've stopped using the M symbol to show cutaways like that.
Maybe the editor just gave up.
I would not blame them.
Tuki selected a purple pen and began to write a letter in Tréjolais. Dear Creamy, you probably can't believe it, but I've been in Modelland for 3 whole months. I'd like to think you're proud of me, but I know you're not. No. Your hopes and dreams have been pinned on the Miracle, not me. I know you think she deserves to be here instead, and maybe she does. But I've got a secret. I like it here. In fact, I love it here. And I love my new friends. You might even say I'm doing okay. In each runaway, Kara, and mastication class, I get it together just a little bit more. I'm not running into walls anymore, Creamy. I sleep with my Centura on every night so that Zizi, someone who may actually be more evil than you, can't steal it from me. And in Gustgape, a class on how to keep our eyes open even in extreme winds, I managed to hold out even in a hurricane. I guess I had some practice from that time you made me go to Shivra and stand in line for 5 hours for that brand new inhumane chinchilla jacket from Miracle. Oh, shots. inspired.
Yeah.
It's a good thing she doesn't ever send these, but these...
Oh, jeez.
Creamy, I want to go for it here. Am I crazy? Am I crazy to think I should try to do my best? If I were still down in Peppertown, crammed in that tiny room with Miracle, retrieving baby gherkins out of a jar for you and generally being an all-around forget-a-girl, I would probably think I was insane. But now I want to go for it 100%. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that out loud, though, so instead I'll just keep whispering it to myself and writing it to you. I know a secret about you. I know you once loved me. I know you once held me in your arms and looked at me like I was a miracle. That hurts, Creamy. What happened? How did you go from love to wanting to send me away to be a factory dependent? Even if I became an Intoxibella, which of course won't happen, would you feel different about me? I wish I could say I miss you, but I don't. I miss the old you, the one I don't even remember, but not the you I know now. Your daughter, Tuki, a Bella at Modelland.
Ooh, shots fired.
I like the development that this letter gives.
Yeah.
That is showing that at least she harbors resentment towards her mother and essentially has not... I don't think she's gotten over any of like the idea that her parents don't love her, but I think this shows growth rather than just kind of like passively accepting just doing whatever like her parents say and like believing that she's like a nobody, that she's a forget-a-girl. So I like the development that this shows and like how we actually get to see... I think these are the deepest like inner thoughts that we've seen from Tuki so far. The most like personality we've seen out of her.
Honestly, we should have had stuff like this from the beginning. Like from the get-go. Instead of the Tyra voice, we should have had like these letters interspersed.
Would have made more sense. Alright, well, that's the end of chapter 23. That was a really short one.
Yay!
I guess I lucked out on that one.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll get a short one some other time, I'm sure.
I'm kind of really excited about this idea of these idiot pilgrims running up the mountain.
They're all gonna die.
I really want to see more of their interaction. And I kind of really wanted it to be Miracle as the guide leading them up the mountain.
The only thing I'm afraid we're going to get gypped on then is we've already...
The Legizzards. We're not going to hear any more about the Legizzards.
That, and we just did a Tuki played 3 months later card. How much more of this is going to be like that? Like, I don't have to show how she grew as a model if I just said that she did in the... in past tense.
Interesting.
So that's my fear. We're almost halfway through the book. I feel like Tyra's gonna spend at least a good chunk of this book then possibly describing the adventures of these other people. And then not worry about like, Tuki, she just got better like they all do.
We are officially more than halfway done with the book.
Yes!
Huzzah!
Huzzah! We've done it almost halfway.
Wow. As what our next chapter is appropriately titled.
Well, it's W.
Wow.
W.
All fine. That's true. It probably stands for something completely different.
But they probably say wow. At the wow. We're gonna go see the wow.
Much wow.
Much wow. Such wow. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Make sure you leave comments down below and hit the like button if you like the video and subscribe to keep up on all this shenanigans. Finally halfway through the book. Woo! And we're gonna see if we can keep the streak going and hopefully finish it at some point in our lives.
And put it behind us.
And put it very far behind us.
To laugh at and think of fondly when we need to just laugh at writing.
Alright, bye!